Israel delivered a significant blow to Hamas on the first day of the conflict. The Israeli Defense Force escalated its airstrikes on the Gaza Strip in response to a sudden attack by Hamas militants over the weekend. The Israeli government also imposed a blockade on the region, restricting the entry of essential supplies, including food and fuel. The conflict led to a high number of civilian casualties on both sides. In response to Hamas's escalation, which included threats to kill captured Israelis if attacks targeted civilians without warning, the Israeli army gathered all its forces and initiated the Iron Sword operation against Gaza. Ground troops crossed the Gaza border, resulting in the destruction of a significant number of Hamas targets, with support from the Israeli Air Force. The most crucial development in the operation occurred when the Israeli army forced Hamas militants stationed in the north of Gaza to surrender after a fierce conflict. This successful operation by the Israeli ground forces is considered a significant setback for Hamas militants. Israeli army officials also reported that approximately 250 Hamas militants surrendered to Israeli troops in the region. These surrendered militants were subsequently brought to the Israeli army headquarters in Ashdod for interrogation. In addition to those who surrendered, around 100 Hamas militants were neutralized, according to initial estimates. Moreover, it remains unclear how many Hamas militants are within the borders of Israel, but it is claimed that nearly 500 Hamas militants have been neutralized, and at least 400 militants have been captured alive since the commencement of the Iron Sword operation, which entered its third day of conflict. Israel is actively searching for civilians who lost their lives during Hamas's shocking attack on towns in southern Israel over the weekend. However, rescue teams faced delays as they were detained by gunmen for an extended period in the small farming community of Be'eri. The Israeli military has reported that it has largely gained control of the southern region after the attack took its military and intelligence apparatus entirely by surprise. This unexpected event led to violent clashes in the streets for the first time in decades. Additionally, Hamas claims to be holding more than 130 soldiers and civilians who were kidnapped from Israel. The Israeli army has not issued an official statement on this matter, but army officials do not deny that the number of casualties is increasing day by day. In response to these developments, Israeli tanks and unmanned aerial vehicles were deployed to the Gaza border to prevent further attacks. Thousands of Israelis were evacuated from over a dozen towns near Gaza. The Israeli army initiated a major mobilization within a short time frame and called up 300,000 reserve soldiers. These actions, coupled with Israel's formal declaration of war on Sunday, indicated that Israel was increasingly shifting toward an offensive against Hamas. They also announced plans for larger-scale attacks on Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared, saying, "We have just begun to hit Hamas. What we will do to our enemies in the coming days will resonate for generations." It is safe to say that Prime Minister Netanyahu's words are beginning to materialize with the operation conducted so far. The attack by Hamas not only justified Israel's right to self-defense, but also legitimized various operations. As the Israeli army brought additional forces near the border, the key question was whether a ground attack on the small Mediterranean coastal region would be launched. Israel's last land attack on Gaza occurred in 2014, which received significant international reactions and was ultimately shortened. In response to Israeli airstrikes, Abu Obaida, a spokesman for Hamas' armed wing, issued a statement threatening to kill an Israeli civilian prisoner without prior warning whenever Israel targeted civilians in Gaza. Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen warned Hamas against harming any of the hostages, emphasizing that this war crime would not be forgiven. Subsequently, the Israeli government appointed a former military commander to manage the hostage and missing persons crisis. Israel and Hamas have clashed on numerous occasions in recent years, with many of these conflicts stemming from tensions surrounding the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. However, since Hamas's recent attack coincided with Israel's Memorial Day, Israel's response to the attacks has been equally severe. The surprise attack carried out by Hamas over the weekend resulted in a significant number of casualties not seen since the 1973 war with Egypt and Syria. This has led to widespread calls for Hamas to be crushed at any cost, rather than continuing efforts to pressure it in Gaza. On the other hand, Hamas asserts its readiness for a protracted war to end what it refers to as the Israeli occupation, which it deems no longer tolerable. Desperation has grown among Palestinians, many of whom feel they have nothing to lose under continuous Israeli control and increasing settler encroachments in the West Bank, along with the Gaza blockade and perceived global indifference. When rockets fired from Gaza hit two neighborhoods last night, the sounds of explosions reverberated in Jerusalem, causing civilians to seek shelter. Immediately afterward, Israeli warplanes conducted an intense bombardment of Ramal, a residential and commercial district in the center of Gaza City, following warnings for residents to evacuate. During the sustained explosions, the building housing the headquarters of the Palestine Telecommunications Company was destroyed. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant ordered a complete siege of Gaza, announcing plans to cut off electricity and block the entry of food and fuel. As a result of Israel's siege on Gaza, Gazan civilians will become reliant on crossings from Rafah to Egypt. An Egyptian military official, speaking on condition of anonymity, revealed that more than 2 tons of medical supplies were sent to Gaza by the Egyptian Red Crescent, with ongoing efforts to organize food and other deliveries. The United Nations reported that more than 123,000 people have fled their homes in Gaza, with the majority leaving following Israel's warnings of impending bombardment. Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari of the Israeli military claimed that hundreds of Hamas militants have been trapped under the rubble of buildings demolished by Israel in the last 48 hours, although this information could not be independently verified. Moreover, recent developments on Israel's northern border have raised concerns that the conflict may extend to a new front. The infiltration of Hamas militants from Lebanon into Israel prompted Israeli bombardment of southern Lebanon. Hezbollah militants in Lebanon reported the loss of 5 members and retaliated with rockets and mortars against 2 Israeli military bases across the border. It was already known that Hezbollah and Hamas had been collaborating for many years, establishing a partnership. Hezbollah's involvement in Israel's defensive operations will likely pose significant challenges for the Israeli military in the future. Nonetheless, given that the Israeli army is one of the most well-equipped and highly trained armed forces globally, and drawing upon its previous wartime experiences, it is likely to swiftly overcome these challenges. Hamas has been in control of Gaza since 2007, when it expelled forces loyal to the internationally recognized Palestinian Authority from the area. Despite facing 4 wars with Israel and enduring Israel's stringent blockade, Hamas has steadfastly maintained its rule over Gaza. Hamas enjoys considerable support, particularly from Egypt, but the recent attacks over the weekend may weaken its grip on power in Gaza. Conversely, an unnamed Egyptian official alleged that Hamas had initiated an effort to exchange captured Israeli women with Palestinian women held in Israeli prisons. It was further indicated that the Egyptian Foreign Ministry would engage with the Israeli Foreign Ministry regarding this matter. All right, guys, that wraps up our video for today. What are your thoughts on this issue? Let us know what you think about this in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to stay updated on our latest videos. Thank you for watching.